for the kind of financial collapse that the Soviet Union experienced and then Russia experienced in 1991 to 1998. Right now, as an example, Russia's debt to GDP ratio is 19%. The United States debt to GDP ratio is 126%, maybe 127%. That's unsustainable. And what the special military operation has exposed, I believe, and I believe it even took the Russians by surprise, is how out of sync, out of whack, the U.S. military is with economic realities. And just illustrate that with the simple case of air defense. The United States provides Patriot missiles to shoot down Russian drones and Russian missiles. Each one of those Patriot missiles costs $7 million. And normally, if let's say that there's a Garan drone flying in, they're going to shoot 2 of those to take down the Garan drone. So they're spending $14 million to shoot down, what is that, $100,000, maybe $200,000 drone? It's economically not sustainable. And yet the West, the United States refuses to change. Do you think that this disparity is appreciated in Russia?
It's hard for me to answer your question because you said that the drone is $100,000. I think in some kind of dollars, in some kind of drones, it's really high. It's way not 100,000. It's a cheap, effective instrument. And to fight it with the Patriot system or any other system, it's not the best way.
I agree.
But I think that it's not a drones what we have in mind, but we have to find a solution to the problem that exists, and we have to be real to solve that task. I don't understand then that when Kiev's government that created the conflict with Russia, I couldn't understand it from the very beginning. With all the problems that we have in Russia, it's actually 10 times stronger than Ukraine. It was very clear for me. From the very beginning, all military conflict was scheduled for defeat. Maybe it could be quick, could be slow, but in the end, it would come. And I understand why the conflict is so long, because economy of Ukraine is very powerful, and they had the military-industrial complex quite developed. It is still that is inheritance from the Soviet Union. We had over 150 big military plants. No, that was all Soviet plants. Soviet places, including Yuzhmash, southern machinery. They produced thousands of rockets per year, including the rockets like Satan in your terminology. They created Sputniks, big planes, and I can go on and on and on. This is the territory that's just 600,000 square kilometers, multi-million population of the country. This is all, that's the country that you had to find a solution in agreement. This is why the conflict is so long. Not speaking about the huge financial help and technical help comes in from the Western countries and the United States. If we talk about numbers, just last 3 years, they have given over $350 billion. Just think about it. Maybe you don't feel those numbers. I feel them very well. 350 billion. That's 6 yearly budgets of Ukraine, 6 years of budget. So in this money, if you take this money for development, you could have turned Ukraine into Switzerland.
Yeah.
And this money left for what? For destruction, for murder. You have to find a solution, definitely. And a solutions that I see that at the meetings, first of all, with Americans, Trump administration and Russian leadership, these solutions will be found, and the main way path is to change the Kiev regime. Kiev has to change the regime. Shouldn't be any puppets there. The government, they must have national-oriented government. Could be at the first stage would be some type of administration that could have been created like we have a situation in Gaza. It's an international administration. At the transit period, that what would they do to prepare the peaceful agreement, rebuilding the economy to the peaceful mode, getting back into the constitutional laws to restore democracy and opposition parties, amnesty of all the UIC, have a list of people that we have sent to the leaders, and we have a list of people who are in the jails of prisoners. These are actually these are people from the Orthodox Church in Ukraine. 38 decisions were given towards the priests. And what is their guilt? Because they called for peace.
Right.
So is that government have to be in power and ruling the country, that putting their priests to jail because they call for peace? Hundreds of journalists, hundreds of politicians, hundreds of deputies, ex-ministers, they are in jail, they're prisoners because they don't want to see such regime in a country.
Well, in fact, we've got this International Unity Club declaration that is calling for the release of the political prisoners that are being held. And if I recall, I think the #1 name on the list is the Metropolitan Pavel.
Yes, a few minutes about him. I know him personally. He's the head of a monastery, most ancient monasteries, over 1,000 years old, that monastery. It's the basics of Christianity in Ukraine and in Russia and Eastern Europe. In Soviet time, that monastery was closed. And when in 1992 he was young then. He's now 62.
Yeah.
He was about 30
Weren't we all?
when
We
he
were all
became-
young then.
He was but he started to restore. If you have never been to Kiev,
Actually, I have been. I have seen it, yes.
you have seen the huge territory on Dnieper River.
Yeah.
So many churches there, chapels where monarchs are living. It's a holy place.
Yes.
They keep all the kings of already thousands of years, the cemeteries. You know, I can't even say that to say what I will say. It's hard for me to say that. This government from Kiev, they started to have an inventarization of the leftovers, of the holy people. Those monks, the relics, they died 800 years ago. They're kept there in Kiev in special spaces. That inspection came there and they began the counting Was Ilya Muromets, he was a big giant. Was he Ukrainian or not? So you can't think about it. He lived then in our holy one, when Ukraine didn't even exist. There was no such understanding as Ukraine or Ukrainians.
Right.
Only Russians lived on that territory, Russian people. And a country's name was Russia, Rus. It's funny. It's really not funny. It's very sad to say that. So we coming back to the priest Pavel and when Pope Rome John Paul II, when he visited us, our country, and we met him at Borispol, and we were driving to Kiev, when he saw from the car that Kiev's monasteries, he wanted to stop. He stepped out from the car, he got on his knees, and he started praying at that holy, and he is a Catholic and a Polishka, but nevertheless, he understood the meaning of that holy place for spiritual life of both Ukrainians and Russians, and for the citizens of Eastern Europe. So right now, at this place, first of all, that monastery was taken away from the Ukrainian Orthodox Church. That the Pavel is in jail. He's released on the paper of not leaving the state, and now we got him into this list, and we require for his freedom. We request his freedom. The next one would be Metropolite Arseny. He is the head of the Svetogorsk monastery, also a very ancient one. They have military operation there. They have fighting there. He's also arrested, 2 years in jail. We can't get him out, free him out. I can go on a list on those that protect the freedom. So it would be great that Mr. Trump or anybody around him would at least take a look at this document.
Right. Well, yeah, and that's what's been unfortunate about the U.S. role in this. We have aligned ourselves with Nazis. We've aligned ourselves with, I'll even call it, demonic forces that seek to destroy Christianity, not uphold it. Is there hope for Ukraine? Can Ukraine survive this, or are we looking at the end of what Ukraine was as you knew it?
No, I do believe in the future of Ukraine. But for that, we have to have a way, that algorithms that I told you about, to create a transit administration, a long path, maybe 3-4 years could it be, to take out all nationalism and Nazism, that it just sits, they planted that even in a kid's mind. Think about 11 years ago, a 10-year-old kid. They started preach to him, to his mind, that this hate for Russians, that Ukraine is better than Russian. He's now 20 years old.
Yeah.
There will take some time that he will receive a truth information. He would look at the facts, what happened, where Nazis took the country, that he would see the positive example. And then we can talk about election, we can have election. I hope, I lived many years in Ukraine. We never had such Nazism. We had a friendly country. And even in 2012, when we had our championship on soccer, we had millions of fans coming into our country from different types of Europe and the world. I saw the moods of the people. They liked Ukraine. So I am optimist, but for that, you cannot keep that regime that is now in Ukraine.
Yeah, no, it's going to have to change. Well, Mr. Prime Minister, I thank you for this conversation. Anybody that watches it, I think, will be enlightened and have a better understanding of both Ukraine's past and maybe its future. So on behalf of the International Unity Club, thank you for participating. We thank TASS for making this available, and I wish you Godspeed. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you.